Everyone.
Yeah. So, Jason, you apparently have you were the one who was talking when we lost our when I BSD'd, and I blue screened on that one. That was bad.
Oh dear. All right. What part do you remember me getting up to?
Thomas might be better able to answer that question.
Let's. Why don't we just start with around the changing of Chechnya, or you
Okay.
mentioned that the travesties of the two civil wars in Chechnya are not nearly as bad as this as what's currently going on. Let's start there.
Yeah, debatably, but undoubtedly, the instability that what is now the Chechen Republic of in the Russian Federation. This is, whilst it's arguably probably an escalation, um, it seems to me, with what I actually know about the region and also the surrounding republics of Ingushetia and Dagestan, that in many ways Chechnya is pretty much the epicenter of all the problems that arose following the collapse of the Soviet Union. Um, when when the Chechen Republic broke away from the Russian Federation in the early 90s, they had this massive civil war which pretty much flattened Grozny. And after
I
that,
remember that.
yeah, and after that, they had several. Pretty much, Chechnya devolved into kind of like this land where these roaming warlords.
Well, it was
Some
like
of which,
Yugoslavia. You had two
yeah,
different
yeah,
people.
exactly. It was exactly like
Yeah,
Yugoslavia. But the only difference is that in Yugoslavia, you had different ethnic groups fighting each other for religious or nationalistic purposes. In Chechnya, they were all like Sunni Muslims, which, considering the history of Chechnya and considering it used to be a Sufi Muslim majority country, is an absolute travesty. And the terrorism which or the escalation in terrorism which occurred following the integration of the Czech Republic back into the Russian Federation in the late 90s. That started this huge wave of terrorism from various Islamic fundamentalist groups. Most of them were run by this guy called Doku Umarov, who basically is the Chechen equivalent of Osama bin Laden.
ah,
Yeah, you can kind of recognize him because he's like this, like stout-looking gentleman with this massive, like brownish. He's white,
uh,
but he's got this massive, huge beard, and obviously speaks Chechen.
yeah, somewhere around the Caucasus, aren't they? So
Yeah,
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 they'd be
it's
white.
in North. Chechnya is in the North Caucasus region.
So yeah,
It's
they'd
like,
be white as hell, you know.
yeah, yeah, they're actually more similar to Iranians, genetically speaking.
Ah,
In fact, there's even like a minority of Avar people who are actually from the Dagestan, but there is a minority of Avar people living in modern day Iran right now. There is some like linguistic similarities between like some of the languages there, but I'll get back onto the subject of
yeah, yeah,
Chechnya.
yeah. We
Um,
sidetracked.
yes, the reason why I think that Ramzan Kadyrov is able to maintain his power base there is mainly due to the fact that Chechnya is considered to be an essential part of the oil infrastructure in the Russian Federation.
Mhm.
It's also historically speaking, during the Second World War, the reason why Hitler went south instead of up north to attack Moscow was because he felt that the oil fields within the Caucasus Mountains and the Caucasus region, around that
Mhm.
region, they were more essential for the mechanized divisions for Stalin's Red Army. The only problem is that with that, he was effectively trying to push his army into Russia during the winter, which, if anyone has ever played Risk before, is not a good idea. Also Napoleon tried to do the same strategy a century earlier, so it's like,
Yeah.
But yeah, in addition to that, Kadyrov has pretty much absolute power over Chechnya, to the point where he has his own crack commando unit, which he's been systematically used. He's used it systematically over the last, pretty much over the last 15 years or so. After he took the position of president after his father, who was assassinated in 2004. He's pretty much used that to suppress militant Islamic groups, and also to impose pretty much a version of Sharia law on Chechnya. And this is not to excuse anything that he's done. Everything from forced disappearances, torture, crimes against humanity. Pretty much Chechnya under his reign has improved very little, since he took over from the Chechen warlords. And this mass detention of LGBT people is just pretty much the next thing on the line for his ever-increasing list of atrocities.
I just don't get it. Is these are relatively inoffensive people. Unless he's trying to knock you down and suck your dick, then yeah, why? Why you got to be involved in their bedroom? Seriously.
I've tried thinking. Doesn't know logic.
Yeah, I've tried thinking about this myself for a very long time, and the only way that I can really make it legit, I think the best way to describe it is if you actually understood Islam as an ideology, because it's not just a religion; it's a way of life. Like for us, for people, because we live in a society which is based upon Christian beliefs, we have the idea of redemption, the idea that you can be forgiven for your sins. There is no equivalent to that in Islam. You have on your left side an angel who is writing out all the sins that you ever commit, and on your right side you have an angel which is like writing out all the good deeds that you've ever done. And the idea is that eventually at the end of your life, your good deeds will outdo your bad deeds. And is in certain interpretations of Islam. I'm not gonna lie. Most of them are Sunni. They're more Salafish. Should I say? I don't want to condemn all Sunni Islams.
Well, most of the crazy that comes out of Islam, and I'm not saying that that's the only religion that has crazy in it. It's not the Quran, it's the Haditha, where all these weird ass fucking rules are.
Yeah, the Hadith are definitely more, arguably more antithetical to modern society than the Quran ever is. I mean, we can make the same arguments about the Christian Bible, especially the Old Testament, or the Jewish Talmud,
or the Apocrypha. As far as the Catholics are concerned,
certain pagan beliefs are quite antithetical to the way that we live in modern society.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for another time.
Exactly.
But to emphasize the point that I'm trying to make, the reason why I think Kadyrov is able to get away with this is two reasons. Number one, as long as he keeps sending oil to Putin, and as long as he stops, Chechen terrorists from bombing yet another apartment in Moscow, Putin is happy for him just to sit there and be his own little despot.
Yeah, his flunky, I believe, is the appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like Trump is, apparently.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I don't know.
If we wanted to make a comparison, we could probably say that Kadyrov is pretty much like how Manuel Noriega was in Panama during the 80s.
So, here's the thing. In general, I get that a lot of people are now aware of what is going on in Chechnya, but they're also a lot of the comments that I have seen, on both sides of this, well, specifically on the no side, is that as they were completely unaware of this, is that they assume that White Wolf is trying to play up a horrible piece of history, that is still going on to sell a game. I got news for y'all. They didn't make this shit up. They are just rolling with what we have right now. So if you really want to get bent out of shape about this, go to one of these aid agencies. The aid, anything to help those poor people out. But don't take it out on a fucking game. Seriously.
Well, something I'd like to bring up that we heard during the last 2 White Wolves in Berlin conferences was they're trying to be really good at incorporating a bunch of new perspectives into their writing. So they were talking about how if they ever redo Kindred of the East, they want it to be primarily people from Asian Eastern countries who know the folklore to write those books.
And
they don't want to touch them until
they're doing with
that happens.
The guys there. They were. I don't know if they actually hired anybody, but they were seriously searching for somebody in Africa.
Yeah, so again, they want to do this, and they're really passionate about it. So I think the thing is they really want to also bring attention to things. I think that was just their intent. That's their attempt.
Exactly. Like I said, they didn't fucking start this.
So we can't destroy them or hang them for it. And I really disagree with the people who are like, they should all go. They made a mistake. And it's that's not going to make anything better.
I don't even know it was a mistake.
Well, that's just what they're claiming. Again, that's what I'm saying is what they're saying.
Yeah, I had a bit of a conversation about a couple of hours ago about this. And I think a few points got brought up, which I can kind of agree probably were valid points. Number one, every time that White Wolf has ever incorporated real-life tragedies, past tragedies, whether it was the Holocaust, whether it was, the Yugoslav wars, or, any of the other atrocities that have ever happened in human history, they've always done it from the perspective, at least when it comes to vampire anyway, they've always done it from the perspective that
Wraith too.
Vampires, Wraith as well. Yeah, in fact, Wraith especially. For, what caused the fifth great maelstrom. They always came at it with the perspective that vampires.
Fifth maelstrom was the bomb.
They didn't. The vampires didn't create these horrible events. They didn't. Vampires didn't create the Holocaust. They didn't create any of these horrible genocides or anything like that. But they benefited from it.
Oh yeah,
hunting
is so much easier
about it. I mean, I can kind of understand where some of these arguments were coming from, in the sense that it seemed like they were going away from the idea that, vampire, the prince, whatever of Chechnya, Grozny, or whatever, they weren't creating this. They were benefiting from it, from having their own little herd, as it were. At least that's what I would traditionally expect.
So using that particular theme, and it doesn't rise to the level of insensitivity.
Yeah, that's what I would argue. At least that's the argument that was brought to me, and I think I can kind of agree with
I feel you, dude. That was the first. After I read, like I said, you missed the first part of the show. I read that article 3 times, and I got madder every time I read it. I was like, I guarantee you, this motherfucker's never played vampire in his life.
But no, I think that is a good argument, because in the Camarilla book, it portrays it, at least the section on Chechnya, portrays it as it's the vampires doing it, not the humans, and the vampires parasitically gaining, which I think would have been the one good change they could have made to fix that.
Yeah, I agree.
That makes perfect sense.
And I think Ian also said it that should not have gotten past the editor. The editor should have been like, whoa, wait, why are the vampires responsible? What's your meta plot reason?
Exactly.
And why the heck is the Second Inquisition not all over this?
The Inquisition.
No one ever expects the Second Inquisition.
Hey, nobody's done that one yet. That's fucking funny.
Oh, they sure didn't in London. There's like no vampires left in London.
Yeah, I was just looking at my door just then. I was almost expecting them to burst in all of a sudden.
Yeah, right.
Mind you, it's like the witching hour for me. So
Place her in the comfy chair.
yes, I wish my chair was fucking comfy.
I know, right? Somebody I thought was that y'all? Somebody pinged?
I don't. I didn't.
I heard a ping and I checked my Facebook, but it ain't me. So, all right. So, guys who are still in the gallery, I appreciate y'all coming on this Wednesday, the Rant Wednesday, because we're ranting. This is fucking craziness. This is craziness on a level that shouldn't happen because it's a fucking game. Y'all, if you don't like it, don't fuck with it. You know, go play as was in the first part of this. You want to play My Little Pony 10 Die? Go. Please. We don't want you.
World of Darkness is not really a game that I would say for people who have a weak constitution.
Oh, no.
It's kind of a game. If this kind of stuff does bother you, I would probably suggest maybe playing Dungeons and Dragons. But just to give one plus, one benefit to this whole thing is, for better or for worse, this incident has highlighted the absolute horror show that's going on in Chechnya to probably a wider audience than it would have gone otherwise.
Exactly. I think that a lot of the folks, as I mentioned earlier, was that some folks are learning about this atrocity this way. It wasn't brought up in school or whatever, depending on the age of the people. And Ian mentioned that after like the first week, nobody is covering it now. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I brought that up. Mainstream media stopped covering it after a while. They just stopped talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, all in all, it's a good thing because it might actually funnel some aid towards the folks that might actually need it. Now that CNN doesn't give a fuck about them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, bloody hell, they didn't care after the first week about the actual slave markets that are happening in Libya.
Yeah.
So why would they care about this?
Mainstream media doesn't. They'd rather chase after tweets and
they look for that fucking plane
drama
for 3 months.
Yep.
So, I mean, but no, on this, I agree with Jason. It's really a thing of it's a learning experience for everyone. I don't want anyone to be fired.
No.
It was, if anything, it was a simple writing mistake that didn't give something the gravitas or framing it needed, which I would agree with is a criticism of that portion of the Camarilla book.
Criticizing,
and that's valid.
It is way different than just crying and tearing out your hair over some really strange stuff.
I suppose the best thing we can bring out of this, if we want to be optimistic about it, is that this whole thing presented us with chicken shit, but if we do the right thing, we'll end up with chicken salad.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, apparently, the Camarilla book has some amazing things for Ventrue character sheets and histories and things. So there's good in that book. There's going to be some great things in that book.
Well, no, there was a line in this that I actually used during the game the other night. Eric's running a V5 game, right? You guys know?
Yes.
Interested in playing?
Oh, God, yeah. I would need to get a copy of V5, but I'd totally be up for it.
Okay.
I'd be interested.
All right. So, hold on. No, it's a great one. I had to, and I actually got a big giggle out of the guys over this one. No, it isn't. No, it wasn't. It was the Anarch book. Is it okay to give feed Vitae to a baby?
What?
Anarch would ask that.
I mean, that's just wrong on so many levels.
Say a baby if you Googled it. There's nothing good in that. It's you're just gonna keep a crying baby ghoul? No.
No.
Oh god, toddler with celerity.
Yeah, that was
The world
that was
ends.
actually brought up. Is it and not just that potence? You know, just punching people in the face.
Well, the masquerade's over. We're all dead. This is why the Camarilla is like, no turning vampire children and no ghouling children either. Not out of morals, but out of just the masquerade. Children can't keep their mouth shut.
Yeah, New Wave agrees with you. By the way, said she does feel that firing somebody is even more out of line, just because something got past the editor. When the editor read it, I guess they didn't really think about what could happen. But again, as I keep saying, this is a game about horror, folks, and I've read that section, and I found it disturbing, but in a good way. Just saying, I was like, they're giving us a lot more settings to play in than we originally had.
Yeah, and yet I cannot wait for Chicago by Night to come out to revisit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
How much did they get on the Kickstarter?
They are like 100. They're at 199% goal. I'm really hoping they get to 82,000 because that's when we get the dossiers for mortals and outside cam vampires in the area. We could also get Milwaukee and Indianapolis in that book.
Oh, nice.
So they would fund a second
Midwest
book.
all to hell, yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of the Chronicle too. That I find fascinating. That's going to be in the book because that book gives you the La Sombra clan.
Oh, okay.
You get how the La Sombra clan's playable. You get their new discipline, Oblivion, which is the rehashed Obtenebration. And apparently, the main Chronicle, your coterie is assigned to safeguard a collection of new vampires who are coming in and protect them for a night and get them to Elysium. And it turns out it's a group of La Sombra who are there to advocate to allow their clan into the Camarilla.
So we would get the La Sombra and the children of Hakim. I keep trying to call them Assamites.
Oh, the Banu Hakim?
The Banu Hakim. That's going to be our next show, by the way. Is on the Banu.
I know. I've set a reminder. I can't wait to listen in and ask
questions.
questions.
That's going to be fun. I've been trying to do the Banu Hakim as soon as I heard about them. And, Eric told me to wait. Just told me to wait. And, it's like, all right, we'll get the show in. Let's let the book come out first. I said, what? We can't speculate? He's like, just wait. And I guess he knew something I didn't because it popped up before our next show. And I had to bump some shit just to get the Banu Hakim show in, which is fine because nobody really cares about what order we do these in, to be honest. And the only time we're really concerned about scheduling and people is if somebody is getting a show for a prize, like the folks who donate to the Patreon, shit like that. That's going to be a standard, is that if you donate, we'll do your show. You can either be on it or you can just give us the topic and let us go, man.
Speaking of, the Patreon link is in the description. If you would like to have your own show, it's simply a small donation away, and you can come on and talk with everyone and have a great time nerding out on anything you want.
How about that shit? And I keep trying to get New Wave on. She's a bit shy. I'm not sure why, but she's a bit shy, I get.
Well, I actually had a chat with New Wave in the Gentleman and Matthew Dawkins live stream trying to promote more people to give to the book, and you should definitely come on whenever they're doing either Serpents of the Light or Sedite show, New Wave, because I know they're your favorites, and you should defend the honor of a bunch of suicidal cultists.
Yeah, I could do that. Oh, shit. Chicago by Night, 79,757 as of now.
Yep, and they have 14 more days to go, and I'm hoping to get to 82, like I said. I'd love
That'd
it if
be cool.
they did.
Here, shut up and take my money.
Yep. Oh, they also this was something you've had guests before who do another podcast. I can't remember their names because I'm terrible with names.
Brendan Carey and Adam Sink.
Them, yes. They
Yes.
actually brought up in one of their book reviews on Lair of the Damned. They were like, there's no like point system or sort of hard found rules for creating havens. Awesome news, Chicago by Night actually builds those rules from the ground up. You
All
actually
right.
finally have rules for building havens.
Okay, I'm going to have to disagree with you because in the V5 core book, there is hold on, I'm going to pull up my character sheet.
Yeah,
It was
it's
one of the things I bought into. It's a Nosferatu lore sheet.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you get 5 points in it, then you get really, really things like you have a labyrinth below your haven that if you can get into the labyrinth, nobody can catch you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And there's a bunch of other really cool things. Hold on, I will pull it up.
Then I guess their video must have been before reading V5 because they were talking about how a lot of like V20 back didn't really have hard set rules for havens, like being able to stat it out. And I know one of the big selling points they're talking about is they're really working to revamp the idea of how to stat out a city and how to stat out
that
havens.
I want.
So that's going to be in there because Chicago's fully statted out.
It's Descendant of Zelios.
Ooh.
It's page 398 for those of y'all listening in the V5 core book. I'm going to pull up that here in a minute, and it is just, well, it is. It's awesome. But we've kind of got off track. I just realized that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to shoot this back at you one more time in the gallery. You got questions, please throw them at us, because this isn't going to be a standard show-length show. We're just, I just got so angry. I did, man. I thought I was going to bust a vein.
It's okay to be angry, and like I said, Polygon is trash, so you kind of have to not let it get to you, because Polygon is just trash.
Yeah, I know. It's a bitch fest. Everything they post is like a bitch fest.
You know, you should have seen what it was like on Twitter and Facebook pages, discussing this whole thing. It was honestly, you could not have had more of a shit show if you'd.
No, I feel you, dude.
The best way to describe it is imagine like a tank full of piranhas, and you just chucked in like a full carcass of meat.
Yeah.
That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah, no, and now, granted, everybody has an opinion about this. I mean, we have pointed that out already just by our little rants today on the show. But I am thinking that some of these rants, not just ours, I should say not ours, because you guys have been really reasonable about your particular qualm with this poor, situation, is that you can't take this shit that seriously. Come on, guys. Dial it down. I'm talking to the rest of the folks that are going to be listening to this show and the folks in the gallery. If you're angry about this, it's okay to be angry. But don't blow it out of proportion, which seems to be about standard.
Yeah, don't call V5 full of Nazis and piss. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, like that's the thing is people are focusing on these little things that they don't like, and it's like, no, what we need to do is you also need to remember there's a bunch of good in this game, and you have to allow for mistakes because these are written by humans, and to human is to error. I mean, unfortunately, White Wolf, as much as some of us can joke, is not secretly actually ran by Pentex or the T word. They're not infallible demon beings.
Yeah, much to our disappointment.
And yeah, New Wave, I agree with you, girl. This every time somebody brings up something like this, it takes a little bit of the respect of the community. And I know this isn't fair, but where is it carved in stone that life is fair? You can't if there is enough controversy, these guys will just say, fuck it, we'll go, doing a whole completely new game if they're going to do that.
And a great way to counter that is to give them your support through controversy, so that way their PR team see people are behind them.
Yes.
Make sure you tweet, make sure you Facebook post, you at them and be like, I understand, I may not fully approve of this, but I do not think you're monsters. No. I think you're doing fine. Please keep going. I love you. Give them some love when the shitstorm happens.
Well, yeah, or all the time. If you get a shot to talk with one of the, people like Jason or Danae or somebody, let them know how much you appreciate what they're doing. Mm-hmm. I think that would help. And even if you don't know them, send them an email. Send them, I guarantee you they have posted their emails, all over the web at this point. So go tell them. Just throw in, don't expect that they'll friend you, but go email them. Say, look, we appreciate what you do, basically.
That's really all you can do. And to learn from another internet controversy I was actually steeped in for quite a while, that I won't name here, you also just have to do what we did, and that's keep gaming. Buy the games you love, support with your wallet, support with kind words, and just keep playing. Because I guarantee you, eventually, the people who are doing this just for the outrage and the virtue points, they eventually get bored and move on. And they've done it
if you ignore them,
and time again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just keep gaming and support them with your wallets and support them with your voices, and you can weather the storm. And video games has had it, comics is going through it. Why it's now tabletop's turn, and you just have to weather the storm.
Never forget. In the first couple of pages of every single White Wolf and Onyx Pass supplement, it always has the thing about the golden rule.
It's page 96 in second edition.
Yeah, usually. If you don't like it, change it. Mm-hmm. It's your game.
You can write it however you like. It's collaborative storytelling, and it's for funsies.
It is. Speaking of which, I think I mentioned it a little bit ago about Eric, my co-host, is running a V5 game right now, who he'd be tickled to death to get more players, by the way. So, and if you'd like to do that, shoot us a message over at our Facebook group, and we could probably wiggle you in at some point. New Wave says they are open to talk to fans. They love us, man. They really do. Jason's been on the show. I can't get Danae on the show because that girl was in an entirely different time zone. I mean, she makes Jason look like he's, at least in EST. Because I think there's like three or four time zones between you and her.
Speaking of time zones, it's late for you, isn't it, Jason?
It's 3:30 in the morning for me.
Thank you for being up.
You're welcome, man. I just saw what you were doing here, and I just wanted to just put down my two pence, because I knew a lot. It's like I was just saying before we came in. I know a lot about post-Soviet conflicts, and I just felt that I had something worth telling, if not to explain, if not to put forward my opinion on it, then to at least explain why this is happening. And at least if we can understand why it's happening, then perhaps we can all come together to create kind of a solution to this problem. Because it's only going to get worse if we ignore it.
What's the line in Men in Black? It said people are smart, or a person is smart.
A person is smart, people are dumb, panicky animals, and you know it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that seems to be what's happening here.
And if you don't believe that, just look on social media. Look on Twitter at any day of the week.
New Wave I've tried to get, but the only time she's got is there's like an hour after she gets off work. That's about all she can spare. So I'm just trying to catch her. I figure I'll catch her at one of the events someday and do an interview with her. Ooh. But she's got some serious time zone issues, and she's working her butt off. She is really putting in the effort. I love her. She's a great lady, and I want to give her a big fat hug. But so here's the thing, guys. This is where we're going to wrap this up. Basically, just don't get wound up about shit that doesn't really matter. You want to get wound up, do it about shit that matters. If you don't like what's going on in Chechnya, don't bitch at fucking White Wolf. Bitch at everybody else who's not helping. That's all.
Exactly.
And so, y'all, I have noticed it, like I said, there have been 4 incidents so far that have resonated through our entire group. First one was that girl wearing a Nazi uniform at a LARP event at the castle. Oh, God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Nazis were embraced. Hello. They are part of history, after all. Mm-hmm. Number 2, what was the number 2 one? Was
Zach S.
Was it?
The
Yeah,
hiring
there was
of Zach
that
S. was one, and then there was the Nazi thing in the brouhaha.
Yeah, the 4 words in the book.
Yeah.
Which, again, were just part of a large list of examples of where they fit in extremes in certain groups.
Yeah, wasn't that one written by Fury, or am I misremembering that? I mean, it's
there was an entire article written by a furry who referred to White Wolf as Swedish edgelords the entire time and was like, these 4 words show that they're courting neo-Nazis. And then, mysteriously, after a bit, the furry took down their page. And I have nothing against furries, mind you. I will fully admit on this stream, I am one. But that was a douche move by a person who was just trying to get virtue points. And tried to start an entire controversy because they latched onto the Zacchaeus thing, and then they were like, they're courting neo-Nazis because they're saying they're good because some of them fit in the Bruja clan. And I'm like, who says the Bruja clan is good? Like, they're not inherently good clan. It's not like they're
all
the
monsters.
Yeah,
they're all
every fucking one of us.
Yeah, here's the weird thing about that whole thing. I mean, I don't know any white nationalists. I don't really want to be fair with you. I mean, mind you, I am like technically mixed race, so I don't think that they'd really want to associate with me anyway. So it's like, why on earth would they want to play as a Nazi or something like that in a game when they are that in real life? It makes no sense to me. It's like I don't think there's anyone would create a character that is basically, I mean, maybe like, some people who've never played the game before, but I don't think there's anyone out there that would ever like create a character that was basically them. I mean, it's probably the most boring thing that you could do.
True that. I'm having big fun playing a Nosferatu in this game, and that's outside of my comfort zone because I've always been Tremere. I've always been Tremere. So.
I've always been a Toreador.
Oh, see now, does your clan ever actually do anything?
The anti-Tribudo.
As a Malkavian, I take credit as the entire Toreador being a Malkavian prank.
Oh, Zonalo, please, dude, tell me you're kidding, because that's just no. Go back and listen to the first part of the show, first part of the second part. It was, come on. This is not a fire-worthy offense, okay? It's not. This is just people getting wound up over trivial shit, as I have mentioned on more than one fucking occasion at this point. By the way, shit, hold on. I'm trying to get you guys added to the show here. Or to the game. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and call it. Please, take. Oh, see, no, I'm not complicit either, dude.
Yeah, let's wrap up. That's a discussion for the comments, perhaps.
Exactly, that's fine. I got no problem with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back. Well, I'm gonna say
You're on the 20th.
Oh, is it? Yeah, the 20th.
The 20th.
So we will be back on the 20th for the Banu Hakim, one of the clans I've been looking forward to talking about because I love me some Athamites. They are fun. They are absolutely adorable. And they have some rituals now that are kind of hip. One of the level 2 ritual requires a material component. Hash. Hashish, not corned beef.
Yeah.
So they're just going there. That was funny. I'm sorry, it is. That is funny. That an Assamite needs hashish to perform this ritual.
Yeah, but then the question is, what's the ritual do? You gotta be careful with those Banu Hakim and their blood sorcery.
Yeah, I think it's something about turning your blood into poison. I believe that's what it was, but I'm not. I don't quote me on that.
Hash for that.
So, all right, guys, we're gonna call it for the night. We'll be back on the 20th, unless something fucking else happens between now and then. Well, then we might be on earlier than that. So, but I want to thank you guys for showing up for this impromptu, thing. Where I don't even know. I don't even want to call this a show. It's just a discussion about trivial shit.
An impromptu discussion rant.
There you go.
Okay, peoples. I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Have a good night. Say goodbye,
Bye-bye.
Jason.
Bye-bye. Free Chechnya.
Free Chechnya.
Free Church.